What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be working on the 2GR swapped MR2 again. The plan is to install this expansion tank from Wilhelm Raceworks. What I have been running on the car is this TCS water neck. And what this is just an OEM part that's been modified by TCS to have this outlet so you can fill up the coolant. I've ran this for about 3,000 miles without any issues. And yeah, it's just been really great. Really, the only con or thing I dislike about this is that I don't think it's the cleanest look. I did buy this ATS water neck, and the way this works is you unscrew the bleed port, this just screws right into place, and then this acts as your coolant fill port. I really like this part because it is cheap and it works. The thing is, my MR2 is going to be seeing a lot more track time than seat time next year, which is why I decided that, you know what, it just makes sense to go ahead and install the expansion tank. The tank's going to help because it's going to keep pressure more consistent. So under heavy track use, that should help minimize the chance of overheating. It's also going to make bleeding the cooling system a lot easier. And lastly, it's just going to clean up the engine bay a little bit because the expansion tank will be tucked off to the side right here, and I'll be able to get rid of this. So this will just be a lot cleaner. The fill port's going to be on the expansion tank, which means I can go ahead and remove this right here. Step one is draining out the coolant. From there, I remove part of the intake there just to give me a little bit more working room. I then have super easy access to the water neck itself. I just disconnect the coolant hose that connects to it and then undo the bolts, and the unit comes out. Here's a little side by side, both of these. So they're identical except for one thing. The engine that I have has a factory oil cooler, which is why it has this port here. I'm not going to be using that, so I decided to get a water neck from a engine that does not have it, just to clean things up a little bit because it's one less port that I have to worry about. Time to put the water neck back in. So I went ahead and already reinstalled the coolant temp sensor. The gaskets for the water neck have only been on here obviously like 3,000 miles since I've done the swap. They're so cheap that I don't see the point in reusing them, so I did go ahead and get new gaskets. It's an OEM part, so it bolted in with no fuss, and then I just reconnected everything. And now we can actually go on to the installation of this. This part actually comes with hardware, so you can mount it. I lost it, so I'm just gonna use whatever bolts I have laying around. And there's two mounting locations. The first one is on the strut tower, which is where this one's gonna be mounted. The other one, if you order it this way, can be mounted essentially where the fuse box goes, but I have the fuse box there, so that's not where I'm gonna put it. Right away, there is a issue here. There's actually two. It looks like I have to just move this fuel line out of the way. That's easy to do. And then there is this line right here that I need to modify. I'll probably just cut it down a little bit. After shortening that metal line, I went ahead and disconnected the fuel line, and the tank didn't fit. The wiring harness was in the way there. Essentially, this guy was bolted right here, but I really had to move it out of the way, otherwise this wouldn't sit where it was supposed to. The harness moves around a little bit, but I still want to make sure it's nice and secure. So there is a hole here, and my plan is I'm going to get a clamp that I can just bolt down right here to make sure that this doesn't move anywhere, and that's really it. Now we can start connecting the lines. First one I'm going to do is the return line. In the normal setup, this is the heater core port that goes to the heater core, and then when the line comes back, it goes to the bottom one right there. The reason I capped that port is that I'm working on teeing into the front of the coolant lines for the heater core. If you want more info on that setup, Mike Reed with Apex Attack did a blog post on it, so I'll go through, find it, and I'll link to it in the description below. Anyways, because of that, it greatly simplifies what I'm doing, because if I had the return line right here, I would just tee into it, which to begin with is already super simple, but because I don't have that, I just have to run a line from right there to right there. These are actually heater core lines that TCS Motorsports sells, so I'm just gonna chop these up to make them work, and I think this one right here is gonna be perfect. I'll cut it here and then test fit it. That actually ended up working perfectly. It fits right in. There's a little bit of slack, which is gonna be perfect because as the engine rocks back and forth, it's gonna allow it to move, so we're good to go there. Next is gonna be connecting and running the lines for the two bleed ports. First thing we're gonna do is address the fill port on the engine, which should be pretty straightforward. Doing the bolt. Oops. And that fell, of course. We got a couple options here. I think on the Wilhelm Raceworks website, he mentions that he does like a 1/4 inch BSP fitting to a 4 AN line. And then from there, he does 4 AN hose to the tank. I'm gonna use stuff that I have laying around. So I have two options. Option one is that I can undo the bleeder nipple and then just screw this in. I think this is 3/8 NPT, I wanna say. I'll find the Amazon link and put it in the description if you just wanna do this route. And that would work like that. Obviously you need to snug it down. What I'm gonna do is actually this, because I have this stuff laying around. This is 1/4 inch BSP. It's actually 6 AN fitting on this side. Over here, 6 AN, and then it just goes to a 1/4 inch barb. And from there, I'll be able to just run a regular coolant line. I went ahead and snugged the fittings into the bleed port. From there, I ran the coolant line underneath the intake and then ran it alongside the fuel line. I think that leaves a pretty sleek look. And what I'll do is once I have the other line ran and the T-fitting right there, I can cut this to size, but it's probably gonna end up being somewhere around here. I already have the other hose cut to size and everything, so I just have to run it. The reason that I have this already like pre-done is that the expansion tank that I'm installing right now on this car, I used to have on my other MR2 that I don't own anymore. Next thing to do was remove the under trays from the car. It's just a bunch of 10mm bolts holding those in. Once those were removed, I just started running the line along the underside of the car where the main coolant line and AC line is. Once I got to the front subframe, I ran it over the subframe and then continued along the path where the AC line is. Then I finally got it to the bleeder port at the radiator. I will end up putting a clamp there, obviously, but just that's for later. I got to finalize some stuff. I want your guys' opinions because essentially to let the coolant and air bleed out, I'll have to unscrew this guy right here. And I don't really like the idea of running around with this kind of half screwed. I have two ideas. The first one is I could just cut this guy like right here where the threads end, and that should allow the coolant and stuff to come out and bleed through. The other option, which is kind of the way I'm leaning, is that I think I might just find a metal screw or something that's a little bit shorter and screw that in. On the other car that I ran this expansion tank on, I had an aftermarket radiator. For the bleed port on those, it's literally just like a little nipple that comes out and then you have this cap that unscrews. For that setup, I ran this little 90-degree fitting to this barb piece right here. This is actually a picture of it installed on that radiator. I wanna say it's like 3/8 NPT, but I don't remember with certainty. I'll dig through my Amazon search history because that's where I buy most of my fittings from, and I'll link to those down in the description below. On my other car, I did not have the AC installed, which is why I had these brackets, because essentially I just ran the line where the AC should have gone. I can't do that on this car because I still have my AC, so I haven't done it yet, but essentially what I'm going to do is just a combination of zip ties to secure this to the AC line and then hose clamps where applicable. I'm not going to put on those clamps yet because I need to finish the heater core setup on this car. The brass fittings in my car were pretty bad, so I just got rid of them. And I saw a blog post by Mike Reed where he put some brass fittings right here on the heater core lines and then ran them up through this area into the front. I was trying to figure out a way to do it without welding, and I tried different fittings right here in front. Yeah, it works okay, but it's not really the best, so I'm just going to go with a setup where either I weld into these main coolant lines or I do the frunk mod like the NSX guys do. If I take that approach, it's pretty much the same idea, except instead of tapping into the coolant lines underneath the car, I'll tap into the ones that are right here in the front. I want to make sure you guys have an idea of how it looks on the engine bay side with everything plumbed up now. And this is kind of the idea. So I have a little line here. I have a brass fitting right there. So this bottom T that doesn't have anything connected is where I'll end up connecting this line, which is the one that comes from the engine over there. And then this guy right here is the one that goes all the way to the radiator bleed port. The only bleed port that I'm not connected to is the one from the heater core. As I mentioned already, this isn't set up, but even when it is, I'm not entirely sure that I'm gonna go that route. The main reason is that when I was reading the Wilhelm Raceworks blog about how he installed it, I wasn't certain about like the longevity of like the fitting setup that he took. I might actually shoot him an email, see if it's actually held up, and if it is, it's something that I'd probably do. And it'd be really easy to install after the fact because I would just attach the hose there, run it down there, and then I could tee into the line that's already going back. We're not going to bleed the car in this video just because I got to deal with the heater core situation. It doesn't make sense to go through the process of bleeding the cooling system just to take it all apart again. Also, the car doesn't even run right now because I still have to fix the alternator / wiring issue. The alternator should be here within the next day or two, so that's going to be coming up really quick. But I can't comment on it because again, I ran it on that other car, and I'll say it was pretty easy to bleed. What I did essentially was filled up the tank And then from there, I just alternated between making sure like there was no leaks. This didn't run dry, and the car didn't like spike up in temperature or anything like that. Probably the biggest thing was just making sure I didn't overfill the tank here, because you know, you got to account for the expansion, and obviously when it gets hot, that's gonna happen. To account for that, I never filled this up past about like halfway, and I didn't have any issues with it. That's all I got for this video. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.